beautiful souls. It's your girl, Levitia, and I'm rolling inside because I have a very special announcement to make. And that very special announcement is that Ethereal X is officially launched! Now you might be wondering, what the heck is Ethereal X? Well, Ethereal X is my pleasure company. I call it a pleasure palace, honestly. Ethereal X is a safe space for the sexually curious, and our goal is to remove the shame and stigma surrounding pleasure, intimacy, and connection. Although sex education is important, I think it's very, very, very important to emphasize pleasure education. So on my website, you will find sex toys that are body safe, that are highly unique, that are super colorful, super fun, that should work for a lot of different body types. But we are here to really expand Ethereal X. This is just the beginning. I launched on my grandma Cuckoo's birthday on July 1st, and now I'm trying to expand my company, which is why I also launched my Indiegogo campaign a couple of weeks ago, where you can donate to help me expand Ethereal X to be the biggest pleasure palace there is. My goal is to remind you that pleasure is your birthright, and that you deserve to feel all of the self-love and self-care in the world. And so that is why I have discreet shipping. So when you order your package, no one will know where it came from or really who it's kind of for. We also have confidentiality, so I will never tell anyone that you have ever ordered something from me before. Only you and I will know. We also have a trust standard where all of the toys on my site are body safe. You'd be surprised how many toxic sex toys there are out there and how low the regulations really are. So that's just really the beginning. I have something where you can sign up for a pleasure consultation. So if you're new to the world of self-pleasure, but you're really, really curious, you need some guidance, you can schedule a one-on-one call with me for free, and we can chat about what we think the best products are for you. I also have cruelty-free and sustainable products on my site. I have faux leather and man-made materials, just things that are good for the earth and good for your body. I am so excited. I have so much more to say, but I just want to give a shout out to my ancestors because that is really who I do this for. And I want to give a shout out to you because you are who I do it for. So check it out. Go to loveatiya.com/etherealx, and if you scroll all the way down, you can see how to donate to my Indiegogo campaign. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you so well. If I had a peanut, I'd give you the shell. That's what my mom always says to me. Please give yourself a hug for me. And without further ado, enjoy this episode of the Loveatiya Experience.
You are now listening to the smooth sounds of Loveatiya. Ciao, beautiful souls. My name's Atiya, and I am your future bestie in your head. I am a sex-positive animal activist. I grew up in Queens, New York, and was homeschooled/unschooled for about 12 years. I was a virgin until I was 24 and attempted to have a hoe phase for 2 years, which eventually led me to being accidentally/intentionally celibate. And here we are today. My past left me with a lot of wild stories, a lot of lessons, and a hell of a lot of trauma. Thank God for my wicked sense of humor, because God only knows I would have perished by now. With that being said, this is your gentle reminder that the Loveatiya Experience was created as a safe space for me to reflect and share the lessons that I've learned from past traumas. Shit gets real on this podcast, and topics such as domestic violence, sexual assault, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, and suicide may be referenced. If you are working through feeling triggered by certain topics, this may not be the show for you right now, and that's okay. Healing takes time and isn't linear. I'll be here when you're ready. Now, without further ado, the Loveatiya Experience is an experience. So get ready for laughs, crazy story times, and life-changing pleasure tips here on the Loveatiya Experience podcast.
Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of the Loveatiya Experience. Today, we have a much anticipated episode. We have the most beautiful Crystal A. Ego in the house, the owner of the Sex Planner, which we are going to learn so much about. I'm so excited to dive in. But Crystal, please, please, please give yourself a round of applause. And also, welcome. Please tell us about yourself and who you are, and I can tell them that we met at the Sex Tech School. Shout out to Sex Tech School. But yes, tell us all about you and all that you do.
Okay, yeah, I'm Crystal A. Ego. I am the creator and owner of the Sex Planner, which is this little thing here. So it's a planner designed to help busy couples prioritize their intimacy. that's like tend to be the biggest thing. Life hits us, things get in the way, and we always have this complaint like, oh, we don't have enough time for our intimacy and our sex life and things like that. And when you go to therapists and marriage counselors, they always say schedule it, schedule it. But do we do it? No. Why don't we do it? Because we go to stores and we see all these niche planners for like fitness or academics and things like that, but there's none, or at least I didn't see on the market that targeted sex or specifically designed for sex. So I created it in the sex planner. Each month starts with different holidays. I know a lot of people don't know a lot of things about some of the sex holidays, but it's different holidays for each month. Then I give you a position to try each month. Yes. And at the end of the month, I'm not leaving you with just a position and just like all this sex holiday stuff, but I want you to hit different senses. So there is a section called Play to the Senses, where I give you different ideas to touch all like sight, touch, smell, things that like cater those aphrodisiacs, right? For Play to the Senses and date night ideas, because we don't want the same little, routine date.
Yep.
A different date, right? Change it up, be creative. Mind-blowing questions. So we can have those like conversations that get y'all like wet and hot and all that before the end of the night. So it's to build those conversations. And my favorite is don't get caught. Those are like places where you could do a quickie.
Oh,
We're busy. We got parents. We're busy. We got stuff going on. So we don't want you like tied to a schedule. If you find that moment where you could creep off somewhere, I have ideas where you could creep off and like get busy, have your little quickie, but don't get caught, because I don't want y'all saying Crystal A. Ego sent y'all to this place and we got caught having sex. So.
I love
But
that.
that's the format. That's the format. And then there's a section where you just like write down your thoughts, your journal part of it, the journal piece of it.
This is literally the best thing that I have ever heard. Like, I know that we've talked about this and we talked about your sex planner, but like to see the visuals, to see the breakdown, like that's the type of organization I literally need in my life. And I know that, especially as an entrepreneur, like I'm working really hard. And if I'm in a relationship, I'm not going to put it on the back burner, but I'm not always the most attentive. So,
right.
yeah.
It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder, and it's not meant to be like very mechanic. Because some people like, oh well, that takes the spontaneity out of sex. So a lot of people are worried about that. It just makes it priority. So just like think about when you write things in a calendar, you're making a priority. I have this priority meeting schedule. I have this priority play date with the kids. I have this priority whatever, this community service event. So why not having sex with my man? Why is that not a priority too? Or why our date night is not a priority too? That should be marked down as a reminder and make it as important as all those other things.
I love that. I'm sure you're probably saving so many relationships and marriages right now.
I know they're like, look, it's on the day. We had it Tuesday, we had it down Wednesday. Don't back. Yeah, I love when men so planners is very much any type of planner, traditional planners is very much like a female dominated industry because we are the planners of the bunch.
Yep.
But so I love when men come to buy because they're like, I'm buying it from a woman so she could, write it down.
Yes. Oh my God. I love this so much. I have so many questions. I have questions about the sex holidays and because I can't believe I don't know about any of them. I know about like Masturbation May, but what are the sex holidays or what's like two of your favorite sex holidays?
Two of my favorite sex holidays. Okay, one of them is not so much for sex, but I think it's just necessary. It's National Compliment Day. Like, hey, pay somebody a compliment. And a lot of these holidays, they were created to raise awareness on certain issues, just like bring certain issues to light. One in particular, people ask like Singles Day. It's the day after Valentine's Day, but then she say, hey, like talk to your single friends. Like just because you're single, that doesn't mean that you don't deserve love too.
Right.
But one of my favorites is Compliment Day and Work Naked Day. And I like that one because I thought about this. I was writing this in 2020 when everybody was working from home. So I could just imagine what was underneath those screens.
Because I know I was naked every day, so that would have been great for me.
It's in there. It's in there. Certain days are to mark significant events, like Polyamorous Day. It was, I forget the exact date, but it was in there because that's when a bill was passed that made it not illegal to have multiple relationships or multiple marriages.
Oh, wow.
So that date is significant because of that reason.
Oh, I love this so much. Okay, I need to like put these on my cap. No, I'm just gonna get the sex planner so I can just have
Get
them ready
it.
for me, and then yeah, we'll go based off
Yes.
of that. I love that
Oh,
so much.
thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
and not to deviate, oh, because you did mention the illustration.
Yes.
And I'm glad that's something that stands out to a lot of people because if you notice, it's people of color. I put
Hmm.
a real big emphasis on that because I just think our community are sometimes like, kind of delayed with entering spaces where, freedom of thought, freedom of expression. And that is to encourage, like, that is to encourage our community, people of
Yes.
color to be able to express themselves. And a lot of times it's mostly representation. So
Hmm.
if you don't see yourself in a space, you automatically think that's not my space. That's not a space for me. That's something that I may be interested in, but because I don't see myself doing it, then I'm not going to try it at all. When it's
Exactly.
might as well might be for you. So that was to encourage like exploration into the sex space for our community. And
I
the
love
girl who did it, like she's in London and she's just like, she did an amazing job. Like I was just like, love all the illustrations. And that's one of the main things that stick out to a lot of folks when they first pick up the planner. So
Ooh, I gotta try that one. I love that because people give positions names all the time and they're like, oh, do this. But then in my head, I think I'm doing it. And I'm like, but am I doing it right? Like, I have no visual representation. I just know the name. Or even say, like, doggy style. Yeah, people know what it is, but like, aren't there different variations and different arches and different, So it'd be nice to like
yeah,
visually see what and how the position is. That's really, really helpful. And it looks like those were different kinds of positions. Like, I've never
yeah.
seen those before. Like, were they upside down in that one? Like, that's what I.
Yeah, some of you gonna have to stretch for, you might have to like work up to, but it's just for planning. Then you do your own, you make it your own too.
I
It's
love
just to
that.
give you these ideas, give you these ideas.
I love that so much. And I think that's really smart, especially for adult books. Like I've had so many like illustrated books for when I was a child, but literally one of the books that I had illustrations of two white parents. My mom had bought me a sex book from the Discovery Kids store. I think I might have been like 10 or 11. And it was like how people have sex. So she didn't want me to think that like the stork came and dropped, the baby out of thin air.
Right.
So, but the book was so appropriate and I was able to really understand it because of the illustrations. So
Mhm.
being an adult, I learned the same exact way. I need to see the visual. I'm a visual learner. So
Yeah,
I love that so much. But it looks like you have writing in there too for people who are not visual learners. Like it's something for
mhm.
everybody. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that. Even though I feel like we don't really need this, I'm gonna do some icebreakers because I feel like I like have just learned so much from you and your social media presence, and just the conversations that we've had. But I'd like
Mhm.
the audience to continue to get to know you as well. So I'm gonna ask you 4 questions, and I'd love to hear your answers.
Okay.
So the first one is, when was the last time you had a dirty dream, and do you remember what it was about?
Huh. Take a little sip of my champagne
Okay,
on
yeah,
this.
good time for the sip of the champagne.
So last dirty dream. So I'm entering this actually. It's a new career. This is a transition career for me. And I really want to learn. Like I made this planner prior to like getting a formal education in the sex industry. And now that I want to be more involved in it, I enrolled myself in Widener University, which is like home of a lot of sexologists that I came about and what made me interested in sexology. They
Wow.
all went to Widener. So I'm like, shout out to Widener.
Shout out to
I'm,
y'all.
yeah. So I'm attending that. I'm attending Widener University, so I'm around more people. And I'm also in sex tech school, so I'm really
Mhm.
immersing myself with different people, getting a lot of education. And as I come across um, different people have like they're not in the industry, like they have a different view on sex.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, I enjoy it and I want to do it. Like these are people like you, like yourself. They like really want to explore the psychology behind it,
Mhm.
why we do certain things, how it impacts certain things. So I'm with sex students, people who are like really like learning about sex.
Yep.
Um, I had a crush on one person, just like that, just like that, crush on one person. And he was just, just telling me about his uh, NED, well, NDM, ethically non-monogamous, so he has
Hmm.
multiple partners. He kind of like spoke about how he like some of his partners were considering like questioning their
Mhm.
sexuality, if they're bisexual or want to try or want to just it's just exploring themselves. So they were interested in being with women, and he kind of like helped facilitate that with different questions that he asked, maybe like different coursework, different videos that they could have done to really dig deeper in there.
Wow.
Mind you, we never like hooked up, but it's like the dream So back to the dream. I had this dream that like I was like a student when it like I was one of the partners exploring, and I was intimate with this one lady, and he was just
Okay.
like, so it's like it was kind of like a threesome, but he didn't
Oh,
never engage us. He's like sitting in a corner in a lab suit, like writing down what he sees. He's like watching us, watching us have sex, and he's like, but he's studying it, like he's studying our reactions and stuff. Like that was the dream. That was a dream because I'm surrounded around all these sex students now.
oh, I would have lost it.
It was wild. It was a wild dream, but yeah, I would have to say that was the dirtiest.
I love that. Do you feel like you remember your dirty dreams better than you remember your regular dreams? Because I do. Like when I have a love interest in my dream, I'm like, oh, that's embedded. Like,
You call that person like it really happens. Like you were here last night. We did this. The same way when you like wake up mad, like you know what you did. You're dreaming. No, you know what you did. But yeah, I tend to those ones that stick out because the feeling like you still like wet and stuff. You still
yep,
feel it. Like when you wake up, that feeling is still with you. So
yep.
yeah, you remember those type of dreams.
Literally, it's like a whole sensory like experience. Like it's more, yeah. Because even the dreams where I'm scared, like I'll remember them right after I wake up. But then when I go back to sleep and then I wake up again, I'm like, like pshaw. But the sex ones, I'm like, oh yeah, vivid. Like I remember the taste, the smells, all that. Yeah. I'm like, other
3D.
realm, literally, other realm me is getting it in. Okay, we're gonna stick to fantasies. So what is your dirtiest fantasy? And I can show you mine as well. I just came up with a new one.
Okay, the dirtiest fantasy. Gee, that's a hard one because right now I'm just like so like everything is really interesting to me. I want to explore so many things. So I don't have one that like puts. Oh, you know what? At school, at university, we had a
Okay.
demonstration of electro. It's not necessarily like dirty, but it's an electro play.
Ooh.
So we did have a demonstration at Widener University, where this Black male community, a kink community group, Onyx, the men of Onyx came.
Ooh.
The president came and they just told us things like how they are structured and like how they educate because it's like a fraternity, but they have to like really know their stuff. They have to know how to safely do all these different kinks. Yeah, and he talked about the structure, like the hierarchy and how it was there to make sure that people are safe and people were like comfortable. How they kept it as a Black male group just because they didn't want their group to kind of dissipate into other arenas, and why it was established. That's part of the reason it was established in the first place, because sometimes in these communities, people of color are stigmatized. They are like kind of like outcasts, or they're just like, are they like fetishized? You're not really welcome in the community as you would think they are. So that's the reason why they were established. But during their demonstration, I was exposed to something that I thought was so interesting, and I would like to try now. So that's my new fantasy. And it was electro play. He did the guy, can't remember his name, but he brought the box in and took the wine and he was just going like very soft at first, and then like
Okay.
he talked about how you can increase the intensity. Then he talked about some of the accessories that come with it. So you can do like a flogger, like if that's advanced, like a flogger. But again, he talked about the safety. Don't remove any like nipple rings or like nose rings, things like that. Remove all that. Then the accessories that come with the electroplate, like floggers and things you could add to it.
What?
He talked about the one that you could put on your body and make your body a conduit. And then he had the nails. So he took out the metal nails and he's like rubbing, and the electricity goes through the nails. And he could use his body as it. He's talking about how he gave head with electroplay.
Out of here. What?
That's on my list. That's on my list. Yeah, I'm a very sensual person, and like it's just like I'm not just about penetration. I like the whole aspect of how everything feels. And
Yes.
it sounds electric.
Yes, it definitely sounds electric. What the I have to add, no, I'm sorry. Like every time I ask somebody, I think I've asked every guest this question, I believe. And every guest that I've asked, I've learned something new and want to like add it to my list. Like at this point, my dirtiest fantasy is going to be everyone's like compiled into one thing. What? I love like sensory play. And I think that that's something that I really, really want to incorporate in my life. Just with like, even when I touch myself, like I feel like I'm not as connected. It's like, yeah, I'm touching myself, but when somebody else touches me, it's like, oh, I feel it so deeply. So I wonder
Mhm,
if like electromagnetic play would help me with myself and my own self touch. Like, I don't know.
mhm.
And I also love that I've been wanting to get into the world of kink. I just literally added some kink products to my website to sell, but I feel like I don't know, that's not a fraud, but I feel like, damn, I don't really want to sell stuff that I haven't experienced yet, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause the other day I got some handcuffs or wrist cuffs and I tried them out and I actually liked it. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like this is my first step or dabble into kink. But to know that there are groups out there that are black, that are run by black men that know that there are certain guidelines to kink that you need to make it safe and like not traumatize somebody. Like I think that that's
Mm,
amazing. So yeah, shout out to your school for hosting this. Like we definitely have to talk about that because what the heck?
yeah.
And then when I share mine always sounds so vanilla. Like, and I thought I just upgraded it, but now it still sounds vanilla. Mine was literally I wanted to have a foursome. I actually don't even really want to be a part of it. I just want to watch with I can wait. Why did I just throw a blank? Victoria Monet. She's like,
Okay.
just the
Hot,
love of my life.
hot,
Yeah. Like Tiana Taylor, because she's just
right,
okay. Like you can
right.
stare at my face for the rest of my life, and I'll be okay. Like just that's it. Like that's my life goal. Was the third person Megan the Stallion or Kalani?
She would be on my list.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, you know, let's do four. Let's do four. Okay, so it's gonna be a
I
five
went to
song.
a concert like a while ago. Yeah, she would be on my list if I was creating this fantasy. Yes.
And she's bisexual, right?
um, I think on her new song, she wrote a song saying something that she like girls. She like men and she like girls, and he both will be eight. That was the lyric.
Yep. Oh, yep. Okay, we gonna go with that. Yep. With that. That's not what she meant. We act like that's what she did. But yes, I think I know what you're talking about. So yeah, I just want to like sit and watch them make out and like be intimate and sing and
That's
I can
hot. That's not
right, thank you. And like maybe record it if they're okay with that, but like not for anybody else, just for me to forever have this like lifelong memory. Or maybe I'll have like the meta glasses that record so like it doesn't seem too creepy, but they know like it's consensual, you know, like they sign
happening.
stuff to say it's okay. But that's it right now. But I might add like electromagnetic play into that. So I'll give you credit.
There you go. There you go. And have the NDAs, so everybody good.
Absolutely. Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Literally. I love that. Okay. Last two ones are if you could have sex anywhere in the world, where would it be? And I guess by that, it's like what country or island, or it could be like a mountain in a country, or so whatever that question sounds like in your head,
Mhm.
that can be. There's like no right answer.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, sex anywhere in the world, where would it be? Um, hmm.
There's so
I
many places. There's so many
I know.
options.
It's so many different places. It's so many different places.
And it's so many things to consider. Like,
I would challenge my fear and like want to do it on a plane. That probably sounds vanilla, but like I
no.
when I'm sitting on a plane, like I hear turbulence, I want to be in my seat. I don't. I feel like I'm so close to God when I'm up there. Like it's so dangerous, like I'm rebelling or whatever. But like that would be like a private plane, and I would want to do that on
I
a plane.
love that. Okay, for
Mhm.
the private plane, would it be in a bathroom or like literally in the seat?
No, and I mean if it's private, it's in the seat. It might be in the pilot chair.
Oh, self-driven plane.
Yeah, yeah, while doing it. Ah, there it is. You got it. You helped me formulate that.
I
Um,
love it.
it's while
Yes,
getting it. Yeah.
yes. And that has some like extra adrenaline to it too. Like
Mhm.
we about to go.
Yeah, it'd be like tower. We're coming in. other thing, tower.
I love it. I love that. So that's a great one. Mine was like Fiji. That's not a scenario. Like I love yours. Like that's and I don't think that that's vanilla at all. By the way, I think if you said like sex in a bed in New York, maybe that's kind of vanilla. But yeah, I love that. All right, our final question is, or our final icebreaker is, what's the best thing about your sex life right now?
Ooh, I like this one.
Yes.
Um, so I'll group dating, sex life, because
Oh
there's
yeah.
more dates than sex right now.
Yep.
But I like that my kids are kind of like old enough right now where I could function. I could do. It's not as challenging to be able to date and to be able to go out. Because they like I guess I always had like babysitters I could go to, a family I could lean on for support. But you know, when kids are babies, they're not vocal, so you like, you know, are always kind of you always had a little fear that that they're not able to vocalize or anything like that. But I
Yeah.
think it's a little easier as they get older because they could talk about, like, if you introduce them to somebody, they could share their opinions on them.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. I could leave a little bit more easily, so I could like leave for maybe an hour or so, and my kids are fine at home.
Yeah.
I live in a very safe environment, and I don't tend to go too far. I have a lot of things around me, so I could go like maybe 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's what I like it's like being able to balance a little bit more. Like now the shift because they're older, I can shift into myself a little bit more.
Yes.
Um, Also, since taking school and all this stuff, I'm getting a new perspective on monogamy.
Mm.
If there's something that's like if it's for me, or maybe just at this moment I'm dating, and I'm happy that like people who I have talked to, who I am dating, they are kind of open minded too when it comes to discussing certain things. So
Okay.
because of that, because they're so open-minded, and because like this shift and having these different perspectives, I could take all that into consideration and kind of like formulate what's the best route for me. I could take my time and kind of like take all these perspectives and like, okay, y'all like all these things, but what does Crystal like? It just gives me different viewpoints that I haven't thought of before.
Yes. I love
And,
that so much.
and how relationships look now. Relationships don't have to look like they did 20, 30, 50 years in the past. We are now in a generation, or now the time we can shape how we want our lives to look
Yes.
more
Absolutely.
acceptable. Yeah.
Yes, literally more freedom. Literally, that's what I hear from that is you're seeing new ways of just finding your freedom and like liberating yourself. And with non-monogamy, I think it's really like I also have been diving and curious into the world of non-monogamy. I was a little burned by my first poly relationship, but it wasn't how do I put this? It wasn't ideal. Like I think that we just none of us had the tools to be able to have a healthy one. And then now that I'm open to it, like actively open to it, because I was monogamous, the woman's partner was monogamous, but she was poly. So that's where it got a little bit complicated. Um, so now that I'm opening my eyes up to like ways of healthy, ethical non-monogamy, I think that things like your planner would be amazing for that.
Yes.
Especially because one of the hardest parts of our relationship, me and the woman, was not making time. Like I was making time for her, but not really making time for each other. Or not being able to figure out who gets what time and like committing to the time that each person's supposed to get. So, would you ever consider having, or do you have something for non-monogamous couples, or can non-monogamous couples use your sex planner?
Yes. Yeah. I'm so glad you went this route. Thank you. I mean, I love these conversations because it's just that give me more fuel to do like the things that I'm pursuing right now.
Yeah.
So I definitely am going to have multiple versions of this planner. I think this is, just fine for monogamous couples too. Um, but I also want to do polyamorous, non-monogamous, multiple relationships planner because I think talking to people, I'm like, y'all need it the most. Y'all need it the most. Y'all balancing a lot. Um, but I'm in the process of creating an app version because I know a lot of people. I love to write things down, and I know people who love to write things down.
Yeah.
But I also know in modern age, when people plan something, the first thing they do is they're pulling out their phone. Okay, I have this date, and then some people like if I don't put it down right now in my phone, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
So that's why I'm moving this traditional planner onto an app version. I'll still have the hard planner, but it'll be an app version of this planner too.
Oh.
But particularly with the app being able to sync calendars. So if my partner put in, hey, we have this date, my girl or whatever, it's going to their partner saying, hey, your partner just put this down, like, hey, there's a date. Like I wanted to sync that way.
What? That is literally the most ingenious thing that I have quite literally heard of. Like, first of all, just the idea of an app in general, because you're right, some people are not physical writers. Like, I love to write, I love workbooks, but I understand that it's not for everybody. So to have an app version is amazing. But the syncing of the calendars, it's
Mm-hmm.
like chefs, like shout outs to your brain. Seriously,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's super necessary.
It
And
is.
would that be available for monogamous and non-monogamous couples as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
It'd be open to single too. I'm doing a single. Actually, the next hard copy will be a single version of it. But I'm just thinking, like, as of right now, right now the app will help with the calendar function of it. I know multiple users could sync calendars, but like
Yes.
the next hard copy of this will be a singles version of it. A female, well, female people who identify as female. Um, yeah, and like you said, you're talking about testing out like your kink things
Yes.
online. You want to test it out. So in this female are self-love planners, the self-love planner. I talk about different vibrators. Girl, I did not know they had so many different kinds of vibrators. I'm like, I don't think I'll be able to test all these out, but like I would do it. I'm doing as much like researches and reviews on each one, different
Okay.
types for each one that I put in there, like depending on how it's shaped. I'm trying to generalize it as much too, based on like shapes. Like if it's shaped for it gives you maximum pleasure in this part or this part, or whether it's anus or vaginal, clitoris, just as much research as possible. I would like to try all of them, but it's very ambitious.
Oh,
That's
that's a great market research. Like, oh, sorry, can't go out tonight. I'm trying out some toys for my company. A good
working,
business.
guys. It's work. It's work.
I love that. And that would help people like me who get into masturbation ruts. So literally, like, I'll use the same sex toy over and over and over again because I know it will just get it done, as opposed
Mhm.
to using my newer toy or something that has a function that I've never tried before. Or maybe this toy will help me have a different kind of orgasm than my just vibrator or my wand or whatever. So that's so, I am literally going to be on your waiting list to sign up for that book. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm on the presses of getting that. I like it too. Like you have your favorite one. Like you just get comfortable with that favorite one.
I
Like
feel it. Yeah. Yeah, literally. I have to, and mine are so like I still have my sex toy from when I was 16 years old, like my first vibrator, you know? So it's like
the one your mom brought you. Did your mom brought you that one? Aw. That needs to go in the Hall of Fame. That you need to put that on the mantle. You're like, this is. I think all your fans, everybody knows about that vibrator, and just have that. That's gonna be in your museum.
I was literally, do you know Paulina from Nymph Life from Sex Tech School?
Yeah, that name is familiar.
We've
Yeah.
probably been in classes together and just didn't know. Literally, I was talking to her in my I want to say like last month, I think it was, where we talked about a sex museum. I'm going to make a sex toy museum because I have all these sex toys. And she was asking like, where can we put, like, where can we give our sex toys that we're not using anymore? Because otherwise it's just like wasteful. And so I'm like, my sex toy museum would be great for that. And then we'll like make sculptures and stuff and have like photo ops and you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
I
So
like it.
this is confirmation because you just said museum. So we're gonna make this happen then. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate you.
I'm ready. I will be there. I will
Yeah.
be there.
Yes, thank you. You're gonna be at the grand opening, of course. Okay, now when it comes to the sex planner, I wanted to ask, and you kind of told us a bit about this in the beginning, but what was like the core reason or the core thing that inspired you to start your sex planner? Like, what was that first thought that was like, I need this?
I was very sexual person, prior to marriage, being married, then the kids came, not college, get married in college. College was
Yeah.
not school, but you got free time. It's party time, you're having fun. Then you had work, so that like college fun, relaxed life a little bit is gone. Now you got more work involved, and then now you add kids to the mix, and then you become a member of the community. So now you're like giving back, and just like all those like so you we piled on all these things. So first it was all about the sex and fun, but now we got work, and then we piled on school and all this stuff. And as we do that, the sex constantly falls to the backhand, falls to the wayside. But I know that as a professional, especially like professional women, as a professional, things like that, we rely so heavily on our calendars. Even I almost just say professionals, but the scope of women, we rely heavily on planning things because we're the planners.
Mhm.
And I just thought like how, what's a practical way to like squeeze that in? And going it's going through mixed with my ex-husband going through therapy. And that's something that they always recommend, schedule the sex, schedule the sex. And I'm like, okay, I could do that, but how do we make these sexier? Because seeing really dope planners, but like how do I make the scheduling of the sex
Mhm.
sexier? And that's when I thought of the sex planner. It's like it's for those couples. Right now it's for the couples. Um, as I grow the business and now that I'm single and things like that, as I grow the business and like I write grants and I, am kind of like forced to dig deeper about the meaning of what this product is. At first, I'm just looking like, oh, it's a planner. But as I like dig deeper to figure out like what am I really selling here,
Mhm.
I'm really selling that like, remember yourself, remember like your sexuality is important.
Yes.
Don't forget it. So that's why like that inspired me to want to do more versions of it. That's why I came up with like to do the single version of it because we often like especially women, we always get like shamed for not shamed for kind of like everything.
Everything.
Everything. And being like a sexual like person and having those orgasms, learning about the orgasm gap, it's just like learning so much about how women's sexuality is suppressed. That's why I like kind of like realized what I was actually selling. I was actually selling empowerment for us to kind of take back our sexuality or like
Wow.
put ourselves in the forefront. And like as I go to different things, I hear it echoed. It might not exactly be sex pertaining to sex, but I often hear it echoed in a fitness world, like, hey, you're doing all this, but like how often do you pour into yourself? And
Yep.
those messages like are coming across slowly, but we need to make it real loudly. And I think this is not something extreme. This is a planner.
Yeah.
It's something we do daily. So just having that, it's not something like, oh, I'm going wild to the sex club or I'm going to doing this and that. I'm just penciling it in. It's just that
Yes.
little stroke of the pen and adding that, it makes a difference.
I love that. You're literally setting the intention. And you're right. Like, I mean, and these are conversations that, like you said, people can have with themselves when using your book, but also with their partners. Like, there are so many conversations that we assume that people have with their partners that I'm sure when they get to your book, they're like, oh, wait, we haven't even ever talked about this before. Like, even just positions, trying new things. Like, we have not talked about any of this. So I love that it's more than just like putting stuff like calendaring, penciling it in. It's like a guideline, it seems. And like I said, the visuals and all that stuff. So that's super
Mhm.
amazing. And
Right.
can like last people a really long time. So that's dope.
Right, real long time. And yeah, it's like some of the conversations like we assume that we having, but sometimes it's especially for long time because I initially worked with like with long term couples in mind,
Mhm.
but think about how much has changed in that long time.
Yep.
So this answer when I was in college, this answer to this question, I knew it then, but do I know is it the same answer 10, 15 years from now?
Ooh.
Like we are not the same people. So like taking that time to like re-engage on who your partner is, how much like just sharing an appreciation in their growth in that journey that you had with them, just seeing your partner again, taking that time. I wrote that like it's not to tell you like what to do, it's just to spark that conversation, but add the intentionality. It's like you're kind of like forcing you to make time. Like I can't solve all your problems. I'm not a
Right.
therapist. Nobody can solve all your problems. But what I'm telling you is like, hey, make the time to solve your own problems. Make that time to pour into yourself.
I
So yeah.
love that. And I love what you said about reflecting on it afterward. Like once you finish it and before you get your new one for next year. Like
Mhm.
is it for 365
Actually,
days?
yeah, it's non-dated, so you could use it. You can pick it up and use it whenever because it's non-dated. But that at the end of each month, there's that reflection period. Like, hey, what I like this month, what I didn't like.
I love that so much. And then like 10 years down the road, you go back, you just look at all 10 of your or however many you've bought over the years, like just reflecting from the growth. I
I
love
could just see
that.
some of the stories at the end, like, yeah, we had an extra 10 minutes.
Yes.
That was a good day. That was a good day.
Oh my God. You know what I just thought of? Like, what if you had like a documentary in like a couple of years and look back on some of the couples that have bought like the
Ah,
sex planner and like just do not even a survey, but just like interview them to see how it's helped their like lives to
yeah.
reflect. Oh my God. I'm
Oh, yeah.
sentimental like that.
I like it. I like it. That is a good idea. Oh, man. You giving me thoughts. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, you solidified the museum idea, so I had to just ping pong it back to you. So,
Appreciate it. I appreciate
of course,
it.
I wanted to ask, do you have a favorite page or chapter or exercise in your planner? I know it's a hard one because it's a
Mhm.
good planner, so it's a lot to choose from, but do you have like a favorite?
Well, I have a few favorites, yeah.
Okay.
But one thing that I thought was good, because I mean I did a lot of like different research and things like that, but like near October, the doing it in cemetery, I was like, I'm putting it in there, but that's still gonna be creepy. I think that like that the thing is like really quiet.
And no, really quiet, and like
If
it's like
you're
it
there,
wasn't that adrenaline rush. Like,
yeah, a daredevil, like if somebody out, is it a person or is it a ghost? Like if you and then like all these, maybe you have So, invisible audience. So really, like, of ghosts.
The warrior spirit.
Right, right. I thought about that. I was like, oh, that's funny. So,
I
that,
love it.
uh,
I love that so much. Do you have a favorite position that you have in your book, or do you like all of them? Well, I mean, of course you like all of them, but like, is there like a go-to or a fave?
yeah, I was going through. I was like, damn, what haven't I tried?
Love that.
But some of the positions, I do have like different objects, like a medicine ball and things like that. So I thought
Oh,
those, I like those. I think it's one in particular was like in January, or ones that you could add a medicine ball or add different things to it. I like those. I kind of like those.
oh yeah.
I like you working out, but you also having fun while you work out.
Oh, I love it. Is a medicine ball like, okay, I have two thoughts in my head. Is a medicine ball like that? Go ahead. Please tell me
Those
before I
big,
feel stupid.
well, no, they do have the weighted medicine ball, but I'm thinking about those big. Then we call it something else too.
That's what I'm thinking about too.
Hmm.
Okay, because they used to have a thing called the medicine ball at Starbucks, and I'm like, I don't think she's talking about that, but maybe she is. It has like lemon and ginger.
Oh no, I'm talking like on top, like when you're working out and like doing the ab things.
Oh
Like that,
yeah. Oh, I love that. I love a good prop.
right? Yeah, or and different like pillows and things like that. So I like those.
I love that. Okay. What are creative ways that people can use your planner to keep sex spicy?
Um, I would, because I mean it's formatted calendar wise, so everything is like written to be sequential. But if you just like want to open it up and just like play Rolodex, or whatever, or not
Oh,
Rolodex, Russian roulette,
yep.
flip the pages, and yeah, and then come up with a position. We try that, so you can make it out of games. Do different games with it, and not just like follow the sequential order of it.
Yes, I
Mhm.
love that. I feel like that's especially for like if we're doing zodiac signs, like the Sagittarius, I feel like would love to do like the spontaneous, like let's just pick one.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the Virgos would be like, let's go in order. And me, I'm
And
the Virgo.
right, it's July now, and that one is for November. So we have to wait till we get to it.
But I love it because actually, maybe since I'm trying to break out of being such a planner, because it's not, it's like it's working for me, but I feel like I need guidelines like your actual planner to help me. So maybe it would help me become more spontaneous. Like, you know what? Let's just
Mhm.
pick a random page and call it, be like, keep it spicy. So I love that.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I like that you said that too, because a lot of things I had to, kind of back the challenge. Like, but it's robotic and kind of take the fun out of it. And like, really, like, it's a guide. Remember, it's a guideline. It's not like direct instructions. Like, you have to do it there. It's written to spark creativity, spark your imagination, and give you ideas to help do so. So it's not like I have to do it on these days. It's just like, hey, how about this? Why don't we try that? Blah 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 blah.
I love that. That's so rare because we live in such a regimented society where usually it's like you gotta be on it and you gotta be this, that, and third. So to know that there's that leniency and there's not that pressure, I feel like that would inspire me to want to use the planner even more often because it's not that. It's like people are so used to rules and regulations. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's very, very helpful. Okay, I wanted to ask you, what are ways that you've been able to create an intimate relationship with yourself as a mom or while being,
um,
yeah.
Oh, so I really like this. 'Cause I was just sitting and I was thinking about how often we say when we become moms, or like when we get older, how much you want to get back to your old self. Oh, I want to get back to this. I want to be back then. Like, I want to go back. You hear that often. I want to go back. I want to lose 5 pounds. I want to go back to when I was like living in this city and doing X, Y, Z. And I'm like, or when I was 20 years old. And when you think about it, it's like, you can't go back. Like that chick is dead. That chick is long dead. That 20-year-old is the 20-year-old died 10, what, however many
Yeah.
years ago. There's in real life, there's no going back. There's only progressing forward.
Yep.
So what I think I learned and have appreciation for who I am now. Like, yeah, I love that old me. I
Mhm.
love the, me prior to kids, and that person helped shape me. But there's no going back to her. Like, I have to love who I am now, and like I have to project where I'm going forward, like going forward, who I want to be. So I'm like, that chick dead. Let
Yeah,
her die.
Alicia.
Write her eulogy. appreciate her, thank you, but like you gotta
Yeah.
welcome your future self and you gotta have appreciation for who you are now. So like
Yes.
with that in mind, that has helped, that has helped me, kind of like live my best life. I try to, figure out how I incorporate like living my best life.
Oh, that is like literally so beautiful, especially for your daughter to witness and your son as well. Like, I think that it's beautiful for them to see like mom loving yourself as is now, as opposed to trying to, like that's, I don't even know, is that considered like breaking generational curses? Not even your own generation, but just like societal curses?
I don't know. I just know that that's something I hear often. I'm like, it's just not gonna happen. But I know as like I want my kids seeing me in my best life. So mourning this person when I didn't have, and then how they gonna make them feel like, like I ruined my life. She can't do X, Y, Z. It's like no, like, but they add to my life. They add to this like fulfillment. I love being a mom. I love doing things like fun things like with my kids and stuff like that. And think about like how weird I would look on seeing like cartoon movies without kids. Sometimes it's like all like a lot of the fun things I'm doing I'm having fun because I only did it because my kids were there. Like some of the
Wow.
groups I'm in some mom groups, and I'm only in these groups because I'm a mother now. It's
Wow.
networking I built.
Oh, I love that so much. Conversations like this actually like excite me about motherhood, because I definitely know that I'm usually on the other end of the spectrum of like, I'm never having kids. But
Mhm.
listening and just seeing women who are prioritizing themselves while also taking care of their babies, pouring love into their babies while also pouring love into themselves, like creating that intimate relationship with yourself again, with your new self, like not trying to go backwards. That's all just really refreshing to hear. From someone in this phase of my life. So thank you for that. And I hope that the listeners are as inspired by that, because I think that's really big. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
in the world of
I hope
self-love.
it. I really hope because I'm about self love, just like self love, and I want that for people too, for everybody, really.
Yeah. And even when you said thank you to your old self, like I think that's beautiful. Like, yes, she's dead and gone, but thank you. Because without her, then there would be no you now. So like shout outs to her too. Okay, this is a little bit of a swerve, but still into the realm of intimacy. Since we met at sex tech school and we just talked about sex toys, um, what is your favorite form of sex tech? Whether that be sex toys, apps, um, I'm trying to think of like maybe audio porn, things like that. Do you have a favorite?
Um, Actually, the whole world now interests me, and like when I joined sex tech school, I for some reason I just had in mind like we're gonna be have or be exposed to fitness. I didn't realize how fitness oriented it was. I thought
Mm-hmm.
it's for some reason I thought it was more technical. I don't know why,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
but just listening to how many like our students, our peers, and like people, alumni, the different everything that they have when it comes to like physical products, the whole process of how it's made and the creativity in it too as well. I love the stories that they have to tell surrounding their products. So let me see, like I don't know if I can pick a favorite.
So
I don't
much.
know. It's so much and so much that could be classified as sex tech too.
Absolutely. Even when I was thinking just now, I was like, wow, I wonder if like the electromagnetic probes, like could that be considered sex tech? It's like a tool, it's a device, it has electricity, like
Yeah, because
technology. Yeah.
we have lecturers come in about products, like how to build products, how to test products, how to
Wow.
actually market and do the R&D for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, consider it sex too.
Yeah, you're right. There's a whole huge umbrella. And like you said, being able to like watch people, like I came into school wanting to, I think the first time we ever talked, it was because I wanted to create my own sex toy. Like I had it built out in my mind, and it's still happening. Like I'm still very motivated to do it. But I think that sex tech school just taught me there's something else I could be doing in the meantime, because it's such a journey to get to where I'm trying to get. But like you said, to watch people with robots and how they hand built toys themselves, like
Right.
it's crazy.
Even
So,
the stuff that's not even technical that people have found gaps in the market for, and like they're meeting that demand for gaps, like personal assistance,
yep.
but specifically sex tech industries, marketing, things like so many different avenues that kind of like classify like the supporters of the tech too.
Yeah.
They all there, like
Yep.
most everything you can find. They all there, podcasters too. So
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, and you need all Go ahead,
I
I'm
don't know
sorry.
if I could pick, I'm just saying I don't know if I could pick a favorite.
No problem at all. And they're all part of the turning wheels in sex tech. So they're all necessary. Like you can't have sex tech without the podcast. You can't have sex tech without the sex toys. You can't have sex tech without the audio porn. Like that's all needed. So I love that you couldn't pick one. That's actually perfect. This is probably one of my favorite questions. If you could give a word of advice to moms looking to carve out more time for intimacy, what would it be?
I would just tell them that you deserve it. I think they need to repeat that mantra that I deserve this. I deserve this. Nobody wants their child to be in harm's way or whatever, but sometimes just let your mom take the kids sometime.
Yeah.
Do your research, and if you feel comfortable, allow. And I would tell them, like, I know the biggest hesitation is some people don't like to leave their kids with different people, but
Yes.
I would like read the resources, properly vet out people, talk to your kids, communicate with your kids, but take that time, like you deserve it. Um, so many times moms are shamed for like wanting to go out or wanting to have a drink, or they're shamed for something else. Nobody, like, this is not perfect. This is not perfect science. You're not going to be 100% all the time, but that doesn't take away from like you deserving it. And if you are fulfilled with yourself, if you're happy with yourself, they're gonna make you a better mom too. If you're like angry and upset all the time, you're gonna be expressing it to your children. So take your time. You deserve it. Like, carve out that time for it. If you could sit up here and you could pack lunches, if you could go to soccer games, you could do all this other stuff, you could make the time for yourself as well.
Absolutely. Period. Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. 1,000%. I love that so much. And they need the reminders. Like I know for a fact, I hope that if anybody ever needs a reminder, just come back to this episode and listen to Crystal tell y'all that you deserve it because you do. Like, and I know that people experience mom guilt and stuff like that. But even when I talk to my mom, I'm like, at my grown age now, I realize we are all still human at the end of the day. And the pedestal that I put my mom on was like, I don't want to say it's fucked up, but it's like it's unfair. You know what I'm saying? Like she's still human, so she still deserves to take that time for herself unapologetically. So I love that so so much.
Yeah, I think it's wild when you grow up because like we do put our parents on and we think they're like this and that, but then like you grow up and you're like, mom did some questionable things. She did things that like when she was young. That's just so funny. And now those commercials are hitting now. Like we grow up. Are you becoming your parents? Those commercials. Because I find myself doing things that Brenda, like my mom did. It's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I'm there
Yeah, I
now.
am. I love it. In the realm of talking about moms and being a mom, if you could give one word of advice to moms looking to feel more sexually liberated, what would that word of advice be?
Like I'm more sexually liberated. Um, I would tell them just like look into themselves and like just cut the noise. Cut the noise when it comes to your sexuality.
Mm,
Um, I love the tips that I have for that, like wear like sexual lingerie, look at your body in the mirror, just like
mm,
appreciate your body. But honestly, I mean that's something that I think is a tough one. Not for like anybody outside, but that's one
mhm,
of those things that like they have to take for themselves. One of
mm.
the reasons I was afraid to be a therapist because I'm like, if I'm telling, I want people to just like do what I'm telling them. But some people, it doesn't matter like how hard you push them. You could have all the green, all the information,
Mhm,
but unless they believe in themselves, nothing you say will matter. So
mhm.
that's my hope for women. Like, you're sexy and like tune out the noise and do the things that make you happy. And I
Yes.
hope they take heed to it. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that so much because it's just like healing. It's like your journey of sexual liberation isn't linear. So, and everybody's vulva is different. Everybody's relationship with themselves and their body is different. Everybody's timeline is different. So I love that, like self-guided, like journey, but like commit to the journey. And
Yeah, commit to the journey and like stay true to yourself too. Like oftentimes, some people feel the need to kind of like compare or to
mm,
kind of sort of need to feel like part of the group. So in different ways, like sex tech or our classes, you have some of these people that have like really wild, crazy experience. But I like love those people that consider themselves like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, I'm happy for you, but I like my little vanilla stuff,
Yep.
and I'm gonna sit here and my vanilla stuff makes me happy.
Yep.
Like that's cool. Like you can still be part of it, but still stand true to yourself. Like that,
Yes.
you know, that's something that's not for you, but you appreciate the other people. But like, I feel sexy and I like what I do, and that's
Yes.
sexy. That's sexy being confident in who you are.
Absolutely. I love that so much. Yeah. Yeah. I used to feel like for me to be sexually liberated, I had to let my full freak flag fly and like be like, yeah, I'll take anything, piss on me. Like, I don't care. And it's like, well, like, do you really want me
Right.
to piss on?
Right, yeah, think about that point. Like, how much are we doing this for other people to say, like, I'm the freakiest, I'm the like head, be in charge? But like, is that something you really want? Like, is that
Right.
something that you're like attracted to and want to do, or are you doing it like question like where these things will come from, and then like just standing that you don't have to be all this and that, but do the things that you like and just like tune out everything else.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that so much. I actually need to put a pin in that in my own mind, just for like my own sexual escapades. Cause I like to share stories on my podcast and like I like to chat with my friends. Like anytime I'm not talk or like not dating somebody, I don't really have like a story to tell somebody. I'm like, well, I've been working on business. What you been up to? Like I have nothing else to say. So when
That's good.
I'll just be the listener.
Vicariously.
Yes, literally. So sometimes I'll do things for the plot. Like, oh, that was not let me that. But like when I was celibate for 2 years. I just recently ended my celibacy in April. And at first it was like really sacred. So I was like, oh, I'm not telling anybody about it. And then like, well, fuck that. Like now I'm telling everyone. I can't wait to have an episode about it. Like I have so much shit to say. But it's certain things that like happen. And maybe it wasn't necessarily my favorite, but it was great for the plot. Like at one point he picked me up and like was like, bop, bop, bop. And like I loved being picked up. So now I learned like, oh shit, I like that now. And I did it for the plot too. All right, now we have a great story to tell. Like, of course, consensual. So anything that was done for the plot was consensual. But you get what I'm saying? Like, do I want to be picked up every time I have sex? No. I like missionary. I'm tired. Like, put me on my back.
That's cool. I want to hear that. So I want to hear that. And I'm interested in like, well, what inspires you to, break it, and like, was it worth breaking? Like,
well, you can get the exclusive tea, and I'll give the full story in another episode. But I definitely will say that it was worth breaking it. So I definitely will say that it was good. I will definitely say that there were just certain things like foreplay. When I got it, it was great, but it's such a pet peeve having to ask for it and having to ask for a prolonged, but like just fucking, how old are you? Like, do it. So there's that. Exactly. That and then aftercare. If you ain't shit at aftercare, that can actually reduce the entire sexual experience I just had. Cause like, so having to ask for the aftercare, that was a bit of a peeve. But other than that, like I feel like it was really healing for me. So I'll say that was yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yeah, when I had a therapy session, I went to like 2 days after that, just by coincidence. And I got on the call. She was like, "You're glowing." I was like, "Wait till I tell you everything that just went down." But but that's a perfect segue but we're gonna unfortunately conclude this episode. I'm having so much fun. But before we conclude it, I wanted to ask for you, like I said, I love sharing story times on here. So I think that you had a story time for me that you wanted to share with me. Share whatever you'd like, but it was basically something like your craziest sex story that you ever had that you'd like to share with the audience.
Yeah, I had to think about this. Yeah. Yeah, because that weekend was like really insane. Yeah, I talked about too, like how much I'm willing to share and all this stuff. So like I'm balancing it out as well.
Okay.
But this one I think was really good because based off everything that we talked about, it's kind of like an example embodiment, kind of like the sex planner and kind of like my life too. I do a lot. I work full time. I also have this fitness I'm starting up to,
Oh, wow.
as well as a single mom. But I'm also a member of community functions and community organizations. So this particular weekend, it was insane. It's like everything hit at once. I had a work event. Saturday. This is over the course of 2 days.
Okay.
So over the course of 2 days, Saturday morning, wake up, I have this like community event where, we're like outside, we're playing games and things like that. All right, finish that. I might say that was like at 10, and then maybe at like 2 o'clock, I had a formal event for another
Okay.
organization. So clean up, dress up. I only had my daughter at the time. My son was in Louisiana.
Okay.
Drop between these 2 events, I dropped my daughter off at this birthday party slash summer party, which worked perfectly because I had stuff to do that night.
Okay.
So I had like, child was gone. I'm like, wow, this lined up perfectly. So get all dressed up, do like the formal event, leave directly from this event. So I'm like in the Central California. I go to my first like play party. I take you out to play party. We're gonna spend some more time on the play party. I'll take
Okay.
this out for the play party. So play party was super dope. It's another podcast, the Good Moms Bad Choices. They partnered with Sukia NYC. And it's yeah, and they do these like parties both in New York and LA.
Yeah.
But I felt really safe and really good about going. My decision to go there first, again, like back to being a student in sex. So like this is something that like I want to know. I want to get more education on to see if there's like something that people want to attend. I could like report on it for.
Mhm.
So I often like I keep in mind a conservative consumer. I want to be that voice for the people who are kind of like conservative and like tell them I want to be that good girlfriend. Like, hey, you should try this. You should try that.
I love that.
Yeah, with the thought in mind that like going heavy into all this crazy sex stuff might not be for that person, but something that's milder and we could build up to it. I kind of like want to be the voice of that person. So I need to get the tea. I need to get the tea so I can tell
Of course.
that consumer like, hey, this is how it is. If this is something you want to try. But they do, shout out to them. They do a phenomenal job
Wow.
at making you feel like safe. First of all, like you get vetted to even get into this party. You have to
Okay.
get vetted. You have to recommend somebody has to kind of like speak on you to get into the party, and you buy tickets after you get approval. So the first part, you just kind of like lounging, you're talking to different people, like where they come from and all that stuff. And then there's a mandatory when the door is closed, there's a mandatory consent speech.
Oh.
And yes, mandatory. He talks about, why they started in the first place. It goes back to the same reason why the Men of Onyx were started. We want to explore in these spaces, but Black people are people of color, were fetishized, we were outcasts and things like that. We wasn't completely accepted.
Wow.
So there is the decolonization of colored folks so we could explore. So he talked about that reason. He talked about why consent is so important. Consent. Talk about that, like people are probably in these spaces trying to heal, trying to like learn something.
Yep.
So you just disrupt their healing by doing something that you don't have permission to do. Like that's why it's strict. On top of that, they have guardians. I love the idea of the guardian. So the reason they have the guardian is they wear these little glow sticks, and they're there to make you feel very comfortable. So I guess we stood out, like I stood out as being the first time or whatever, me and my friend. And so they were very like attentive, was like, are you guys okay? Are you guys enjoying yourselves? And like they say that if anybody messes with y'all, or if there's something happening that you don't like, let us know and they'll handle it. So they have all these like beautiful, sexy people walking around with these glow sticks there to make sure that you feel safe. So yeah, I really like that.
Oh, I love this so much. And you said this was your first official one, right?
My first one. Yeah.
Oh wow! And I've heard great things about them, like about play parties, but specifically from the one that you mentioned, Sushi, right? Yeah. They're in. I've only heard about the ones in New York, though. I didn't know that they hosted parties in California as well.
Yeah. I think like quarterly they're trying to go back. I think they have did maybe 3 so far. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I would do that because I feel like I know too many people in New York. I'm not trying. I'm not trying to say all.
So that was cool. That's my first experience. Just the visual of it. I mean, I didn't really participate, but I was like, I talked to a lot of those people.
Yeah.
I'm like handing out water. I'm helping, helping serve and things like that. But just to be in the space and kind of like learn what it's really about and how the people are. That was a cool experience for me to experience. But I still got other stuff to do, and that's a 3-hour drive. So. I know I left that party, drove. I made it back home real late, maybe like 5 or 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I had a virtual book tour, international virtual book tour to talk about the planner. So I had to like get button up, get on camera, probably pajamas was underneath or something. But I had an awesome opportunity to talk about my book with a bunch of other international authors And it was cool listening to the projects that they had gone on and the audience and the feedback I got from that. That was dope. That was at what, 6 or 7? Yeah. That ended running out the door, grabbed my daughter from slumber party, and I brought these tickets maybe 3 months ago, but we had a mud run to do. So me and my daughter, we did the mud run. I was wore out. I'm done. I actually had a vendor event that I was gonna cancel, but the girl really, like, even though I was late, she really wanted me to come and talk about the book and talk about the planner. So I mustered the strength up to do that. And I was like, I've really been going 24 hours. I mean, I've really been going almost like 40 hours, just like running and doing things. But I reflect back on that weekend and I'm like, damn, like I really did it. And that weekend I was able to be professional Crystal A ego, just me learning new things for myself, still being an awesome mom, taking care of my daughter. And it's just like I was able to show all those different versions of me and I was still able to show up at my best self as my best self. So I really wanted to share that story because it's like, moms, you can do it. You can still have fun, do the things that you want to do, and that doesn't take away from you being a professional or you being a mom or anything else that you want to do. You could do it. So yeah, tired. Huh?
Well, you deserve a round of applause just for making it through that. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was a crazy weekend. That was a crazy weekend. It's like everything I could be doing, like I had to do it that weekend.
Oh my God. I wonder, do you think that like the energy from like the sex club helped get you through the meeting that next morning? And then the energy from like the mud run and just spending time with your daughter helped get you through everything? Like, do you feel like there were certain peaks that helped like replenish your energy to where you were just like so excited, or you just were you making it through?
I was like, I do a lot. I do a lot. Like, anyway, I wake up really early. I go to sleep really late. It's just like I don't say mom's like, yes, mom, we do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just like a matter of like you already do a lot of stuff. Do some things for you too. I won't
Yes.
necessarily say the energy for it, but I was like to have that experience. This is something that like I have heard about, and it kind of goes into this field. To have that experience, I mean, I it was worth you know losing a few hours of sleep. It was worth doing it. And then like not sleeping on my daughter and doing this mother run run. It was worth
Yeah.
not taking that time to sleep. It was worth it. Monday, Tuesday, yeah, I was going to bed really early. I was going to bed at like 5, 7 o'clock. I was going to bed really early. But taking that time out, it was worth doing those events for it.
Oh my God. I love that story so much. Thank you so much for sharing. You literally, like I said, a lot of people have talked about sex clubs before, but I think that I might have to add that to my list before the year is over. Like, I want to, because my fear was just having to participate. And I know they always say you can just watch, you know, you don't have to participate. But knowing about the guardians and stuff like that, like in the consent talk, I love that.
And you don't even have to upstairs. So the playroom where actually when people were actually having sex, that was in a whole separate area. Then the dance floor, and then the bar, and then they have a lot of impact stations. I didn't talk about the impact station and sensory play. So you got to either get a demo from the massage people there. They you get spanked and try out some of the floggers and things like that. So you don't even have to do I mean, you don't have to do the sex part anyway. You don't even have to see the sex part, but just to be engaged in all the different stations, the sensory stations, that was fun on itself. It's like, oh, I never tried this toy before. And then you have somebody else giving you a sensual massage, and then you have another one to like tie you up with the rope. Like you get tied up with a rope. That was one station. The other station, you know, the cross, you get put on the cross, you
Yep.
get spanked,
Yep.
get spanked by the different floggers. So you got to do all that too. And
Oh,
dance and like talk to cool people. It was fun. It was good times.
I love it. It sounds like a very interactive club, but like you can have sex if you want, basically. But
Yeah.
like very sex positive. Like, I love the interactiveness of it, like the participation of it without having to participate in the sexual aspect. I love that.
Yeah.
Girl, next time we speak, I might have a little sex club story for you. I don't know. Okay. Oh, but before we go, I did want to I like to ask every guest if there's something that they'd like to learn from me or that we can learn together. I love to learn together with my guests. But I really loved your question, which was I love hearing about how sex positive your mother was with you, referring to me and my mom. Now that Okay, just listeners, I'm reading from Crystal's perspective. I feel like I never said that. I love hearing how sex positive your mother was with you. Now that I'm a parent, I would like to know how different approaches on how to navigate those conversations with my children. So I wrote a list out of some ways that I feel like my mom did a really good job at having these conversations with me without me feeling like awkward. Um, so the first part was that my mom didn't make it feel weird. So the topic wasn't taboo to me. Like, she didn't come to me and was like, hey, like, let's have a talk about something. Like, I don't know, whenever I see parents on TV, they always like sit their kids down and they just kind of have this weird energy surrounding it. And like,
They make it so serious, huh? Like, shut the door and
yes,
need your full attention.
exactly. Like, what are we about to do? So I think that just her energy, of course, I think it's natural to be nervous to have that conversation. I think it's even, for me, it's okay to be like, I'm a little nervous to have this conversation with you, but I want us to have like a really, really just authentic conversation. I want this to be a safe space for you where you can ask me things and we can learn together. I think that learning together aspect is really cool too. Because I feel like, especially when children are in school, they get talked at and talked to all the time. So if it could be a conversation, I think that's really helpful. I was given the room to be curious. So I was able to ask questions and it was never like, you can't ask that. Or it was very like, ask whatever we talk about oral sex over breakfast. Like, and it wasn't, and I wasn't asking in a, I don't want to say grotesque, but in a inappropriate way. I was genuinely asking in a curious way what this might mean. Um, for questions that my mom didn't necessarily know how to answer, or if she just felt like I just needed more guidance in this realm, she'd give me books like I talked about earlier. So I don't know if this still exists, but like the Discovery Kids store, do you know if that's still a thing?
I don't know. I'll have to look into it.
Okay, I only remember ever seeing one, and that was at Roosevelt Field Mall in New York. So that could have just been like a franchise or something like that. But I'm sure at this point they definitely have other books. Even like American Girl, there's this book called The Care and Keeping of You. And anytime I bring it up to somebody, they're like, either they've had it or they've seen it. Like, if I show you the cover, you've probably seen it at some point in the bookstore. But that, like, they showed pubic hair. They showed, and it was cartoon illustrations, and all of the illustrations were different. Asian girls, white girls, Black girls, Indian girls, every kind of girl there was in that book, which I loved. They showed breasts, and they showed you might have one smaller breast and one bigger breast. You might have small breasts for your entire life, and that's okay. You might have large breasts for your entire life, and that's okay. I literally vividly remember, like, these were the pages I was actively going to because I needed to make sure my shit was right, like, as a kid, you know?
I love that too. The diversity in it, and it's not like they're not trying to go by one standard because that makes people feel weird if they don't meet that standard.
Exactly. Yes. They talked about hygiene and stuff like that. It was really helpful. Even just as a guideline, like, you can give your child the book, but it's also really helpful to read it with them and like, whatever, look at this chapter with me, or I thought this was really cool or whatever. So I think that's probably one of my favorite things that she did for me. And I think I want to even compile, maybe I'll put it on my website, like a list of books that I know really helped me that still exist that can be helpful for moms and dads. Um, I was in school. I was in extracurricular activities because I was homeschooled. So I was in school for kindergarten and was taken out by first grade. So that gave my parents a lot of time to be able to just give me one-on-one lessons and just have certain chats. But for socialization purposes, I was put in programs like the Teen Impact Prevention Program. So I'd go to the school, go to this classroom, and we'd literally learn about HIV, herpes, syphilis, gonorrhea, all the STDs, and we'd watch these documentaries. Then we go around to different schools and literally host these events that were like testing days. And so we literally facilitate free testing for our peers. And we just give out like natural education. And I guess coming from us, it was just more receivable than coming from a teacher. So that was really, I was 13 at the time. But I think, yeah. And I think that programs like that still exist. You just really, really, really have to look for them. Because this was like, I think I might have learned about this through another program I was in, and then, or something, or I don't even know how I found out, how my parents found out about it. Continuing to get, educating yourself as much as you can, because what you are, like, you actively are, like, you're schooling, you're everything, even just the sex planner and just the self-taughtness of it all. Like, I think that's really amazing. I think that your mind is so curious that you'd be a very easy person to talk to as a child about whatever curiosity they might have. So you're definitely doing that one. Continuing to get to know your children as they are, you're also, I'm sure, great at that because you seem to spend a lot of time with them. And just getting to know how they're growing and evolving, and you'll know and you'll feel it. Because my mom, although she gave me a vibrator when I was 16, the talks about sex happened way before that. Even going all the way back to when I first got my period, she literally gave me the period talk the day before I got my period. I
Wow.
could not believe it. Yeah, I did not know how she knew. Like how it was like very good timing. Maybe I just had an attitude that whole week. She's like, this bitch is PMSing. Like,
Like, I know what this is. Come, let's share. Let's share. I already know.
she had also gotten her cycle around that same time as a child. So I guess maybe she knew the time was coming. But yeah, that I think getting to know your child and having just trust in your own parenting. I know it's not a just like I know parenting is not easy, but from the outside looking in, you're doing a great job. So yeah, you'll definitely know. And not everybody has to go out and buy their daughter a sex toy at 16 or whatever. Like I said, you know your child and what they might desire, what they might be ready for, what conversations to have. My mom did have a conversation with me about it prior. I just didn't remember that for a while. I just associated through it a little bit, but
Mhm.
she did talk to me about like why she wanted to do it. She wanted me to put my pleasure first. She wanted me to teach myself about my body without somebody else, like a guy saying, "Oh, this is how you're supposed to feel good." Like this is not what makes me feel good, though. So that
I
was
think
really
that's so.
helpful.
I think that's probably like the dopest part of it because all education, most of the education, like fear tactics are.
Yes,
We don't want you to do it, and for her to like not only like want you like the pleasure part of it because that was always the part that's left off the table, the pleasure part. So I
yes,
think that's really dope. Like,
absolutely. Thank you so much. And also, I was masturbating or doing self pleasure before 16. I was just being low about it. So I was using my hands. I wasn't using a toy. And what's crazy is that did I buy that? I think I bought a toy for myself shortly afterward, but because I was so like I didn't know a lot about it, so I think I bought like a $20 toy that was made of plastic. Like it wasn't like the high end toy that she had bought me. So I even appreciated her like put instilling in my mind I deserve luxury. You know what I'm saying? Like I deserve the best, right? Because the little $20 one I bought was not doing me justice. So I think that that was helpful. But I did buy that after she bought me mine, but
mhm.
yeah, I think that that was helpful. And also, like, she also emphasized that guys are always encouraged to explore themselves and to be curious. And she's like, why are girls just then shamed and stigmatized for that? So that was another helpful aspect of the pleasure aspect, too, of like exploring, just explore. But she did find that, I think she said from a Cosmo article that she read from another mom. So that leads me to my other thought, which is read articles from other moms. And you might not always be able to relate. It might not always be something that resonates for you, but just knowing different tactics that people have used, knowing different tactics people have tried and failed with can also be
Yeah.
helpful.
Mhm.
So I think that's cool. And then also more sex positive content is coming from my mom and I very soon. So we will be doing some tandem content. Yes.
Yeah.
About all things pleasure, sex, parenting, education. Like I said, she homeschooled me, so things like about that. We'll be talking about plant medicine and a whole bunch of just liberated stuff. So stay tuned for that. I'm super excited. But thank you for that question because that was really, really good. That helped me just take some time to reflect. So
Thank you for those answers. They're really thoughtful and like really some things I need to. I'll incorporate for sure. And I haven't gotten all the questions yet, but that's really helpful. I feel like I may have had one or two, and I feel like I was really really technical about it.
okay.
That like I'm wondering like how much stuck in because I was like
Okay.
so I don't know different ways, so I'll definitely do that. Like speaking of the moms, the pleasure part, yeah, that's gonna be dope. I,
Absolutely. And you can do check-ins too, like which I'm sure you do. Like, even though you had that talk, when the timing feels right, or maybe you're watching something and then that sparks like my mom and I would also watch stuff like Degrassi. Do you remember Degrassi on that was our show and they were going through it. So I learned about abortions, I learned about all this stuff, but under her. So like I didn't just watch it. Like I watched it with her and then we'd have discussions afterwards. So like one of the girls, she was promiscuous. So we got to talk about like what promiscuity looked like because I had a lot of friends who were promiscuous. So this wasn't really all that new to me. You know, like some of the stuff I kind of knew before we even watched Degrassi. But yeah, you can use TV or music as a form of a check-in. Like I brought up that thing to you the other day. were you able to like, was it fully clear? Was I explaining it right? Or let me know if you wanted to have some questions or if anything's come up since then that you might be curious about. Like, just know this is a safe space for you to ask. I'm not going to judge. Sometimes we just need that reminder. Like, we might know, but it's just helpful to think like, okay, well, since you asked. You know?
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, we are going to conclude the episode. I really don't want to. I'm having so much fun. I'm learning so much. But I did just want to ask, we're going to have all this information as well underneath in the description, but I'm going to ask where people can find your sex planner and then also where people can follow you, Crystal.
Yes, the sex planner is on my website right now. Still trying to get Amazon to work, but www.thesexplanner.com. Also on Instagram, there's a link there. The Sex Planner on Instagram. If you want to follow me, I'm Crystal's alter ego on Instagram. Yeah, I think that's everywhere I am.
Perfect. We're going to put the links, like I said, in the description so y'all can just go down there and click it. Crystal, I literally love you so, so much. You are like my big sister in my head. I have officially adopted you. Like, thank you so much for just this beautiful conversation, for being so open and transparent, for dedicating this to me. Like, I feel like this is really an episode for parents and specifically for moms, like for the mamas. And I feel like y'all don't get as much recognition as you deserve. So just thank you so much for all that you do. I think that you're doing such an amazing job. It's very inspirational to watch you just love up on your babies. So thank you for being here. Thank you again for all of you. Y'all don't even know what went on behind the scenes on my end to try. Like, I literally rescheduled so many times, and Crystal is just such a writer that gave me the ultimate amount of grace. She gave me more grace than I gave myself. So just thank you so, so much. This was so worth it. Like, this was such a beautiful episode. So I just really appreciate you.
I told you it's worth it. So just good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Fun.
Yes.
Fun.
And thank y'all for listening. Feel free to check this out on YouTube. Don't forget, we are on YouTube. We're on video and also audio. We're on all virtual streaming platforms. So enjoy. I love y'all. Don't forget to give yourself a hug for me.
Hmm.
And be kind to yourself. Be kind to animals. And that's it. Bye, y'all.